All right. So I'm gonna introduce in Portuguese. So and then we'll go back to English. But just to finish the
Okay.
conversation, the thing I really appreciate about what y'all doing, just I got to touch a little bit when I was there. It's just like giving the year-round training for athletes, right? Because like we got
Mhm.
like yeah, we got for football we got the fall training, we got the season. But in spring training, a lot of athletes don't like. I didn't have a lot of money to. I needed to work. I couldn't be with football the entire season, but I gotta get the work too. And Coach
Mhm.
Rat wouldn't allow. Oh, you can't just work out 4 times a week. You gotta be with the team 24/7. But I didn't
Mhm.
have the money to be with the team 24/7, and I could get busy with you, could work, and that's something good, man. Just giving the kids like high school kids a lot of
Yeah.
chances to go, yeah, go
Yeah.
D1 stuff like that. All right, so I'm just gonna introduce you, start the live real quick, and then we go back to English. Fala galera, tudo bem? Bem-vindos aí, todo mundo que está presente. É, hoje a live é com o coach Maurice Mann, e a gente vai estar falando um pouco sobre a carreira dele, um pouco sobre treinamento de wide receivers. Quem não conhece, é a primeira vez aqui presente, e a gente vai estar falando. A gente A gente é FCA Brasil, a gente é um ministério, nós somos um ministério cristão com foco em desenvolver o esporte através de capacitação de treinadores e atletas. Então, isso aqui é uma das iniciativas que a gente está fazendo, FCA Live, trazendo treinadores aí top de linha para a gente estar oferecendo de volta para o FABR. Hoje a gente tem o coach Vitor Dutra me ajudando aqui, coordenador ofensivo da Portuguesa, também me ajuda com o FCA. Eu sou o coach Christian Marinho, sou coordenador ofensivo do Paraná HP e cuido da parte de futebol americano da FCA Brasil, beleza? E comigo eu tenho o Coach Mann. Coach Mann, quando eu jogava lá nos Estados Unidos, quem não sabe, é a minha história depois pergunto, ele era treinador de
Mhm.
DB, mas ele jogou na NFL, jogou na CFL, jogou Divisão 1, e hoje vai estar aqui falando um pouquinho sobre a carreira dele, beleza? So, Coach Mann, I was just introducing you, talking about how I got to meet you. It was 2015, the first season.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was a little redshirt freshman at a junior college coming from Brazil, 17 years old. Never
Mhm.
played football in my life, only in the sand. And then,
Big head though.
and then I got
The
to meet you.
same, man. Jesus.
Yeah, I got to meet Coach Mann. He was the DB's coach back then. And I'm
Mhm.
telling you, man, even though you were a receiver, you're pretty good DB coach, man. You guys could hold and no
You
flex.
gotta know DB,
So
man. He has to know how DBs play. Yeah, good
Yeah.
stuff.
yeah, but anyway, so I wanted to first of all, Coach, just talk a little bit about your story, your background story, where you came from, and how was your playing career. A little bit about that.
Well, Christian, thank you though for having me. First off, Victor, right, man, I'm glad to be here with you guys both. I think this is going to be great. Opening up, man, this floodgate of information is super important though for the future athletes and all the people that are out there that are interested in playing football. Because for me, football started off as a family thing. Something me and my family did. It was kind of a tradition. But I got a very early taste of success as a kid. We won a Pop Warner national championship, and I think I might have scored the only touchdown, man, in the championship game. And that that energy kind of catapulted my play at the highest level, just from a little bit of a success. I mean, there's so much bad in football, and I mean bad only in terms of losing. You know what I mean? I just don't like losing, but you gotta. I mean, I feel like a lot of that early success came because it was a guiding light to showing me that if you worked hard enough, it could be special for you. And where I got started playing here in Seaside, though, California, I went to Monterey High School. And then after Monterey High School, I went on to Monterey Peninsula College, where Coach Rasmussen was your coach. I was on his first team when he got there. He actually recruited me from the college he was at the time, which was St. Mary's. But I felt like, a person of my caliber, I was supposed to play at a higher level, but I was string bean skidding. I was like a giraffe. I was, 6 foot at the time, and I probably weighed like 155, but I thought you couldn't tell me that I wasn't, Randy Moss though at the time. So he helped me really develop, and he really helped give me some guidance and like some real structure in my game. And he told me what I needed to work on most, and the things that he told me that I needed to work on most, I believe, are the things that got me to the highest level. And he threw me the ball like almost every play. So he gave me confidence, and that's what.
Dream, man.
Yeah. Like this game,
Coach Rice is not scary in getting a good receiver the ball.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're a confident receiver though, because you're getting lots of touches, it's the best game in the world. You know what I mean? But it's kind of hard if you get one catch one game and then you don't get a catch for 3 games later, and then you don't. Like that kind of football is tough. And I had to learn that football in my pro career to last. Right? I had to learn how every catch was super important eventually, but that catch may not come until 3 or 4 quarters later, and that was tough, But that's where
you could not get cold, right? You had to keep it hot. You had to keep warm. Yeah.
So I went to Reno, Nevada, and I played for 2 years. And then I got drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals, and then I left the Bengals and went to the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins, I got released though from the Dolphins, and the Seahawks picked me up that season. They went to the Super Bowl, and that was my first Super Bowl though experience, which was that right then and there I knew this was exactly what I was supposed to be doing. And after that, I bounced around to a couple more teams. Some teams fit and not always some teams fit. Some coaches fit and you don't always fit with some coaches. And that's kind of the situation in football though too as well, is that you have expectations, but there's like 40 other people that have expectations for you too as well. So, if you can't align the stars though with what other people see and with what you see, though, you're gonna have a tough time playing. But I played 11 years. I played 6 or 7 more years in Canada. I took a year off. Then I came back to play. Then after that season, that's when I went back to California, and then I met Christian, and then that's when I became.
And that's the highest point, right? Meeting the guy.
Yeah,
Christian. Not Super Bowl, CFL, none of that. And then you met Christian. That's the point. That's why we're here. Yeah.
And Christian, though, you had someone else though with you. Who else came up here with you? It was
Kyle, a little running back.
Kyle,
he came from Brazil too.
Hey, he's a good guy, definitely. But yeah, though, that's kind of me. And now I train kids.
Yeah, man. For everyone, please go follow at Get Better or Get Beat. That's Coach Mann's company now. He trains kids. He prepares kids for football season, baseball season, just overall fitness. He's just helping out the community. It's a great work. I had to be a part of that back then when I was in Cali before coming back to Brazil, getting ready for the season. Coach Mann helped me get ready. I was fat, not ready, and completely broke, so he helped me out a little bit. So, Coach, I got a question. A lot of for a lot of kids in Brazil, the only chance we got to go to American play, if our parents don't have the money to pay for our high school, and it's going JUCO. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about the JUCO level, what it meant for you, and what it can mean for people who didn't have a lot of playing time during their life, but can they work hard and from the JUCO go to a higher level, D2, D1, or NAIA?
Oh yeah, for sure. Everyone develops in their own timing. You know what I mean? So the key to football is knowing the details, and then really just being, conscious of the details though, but still playing though within this, the schematics of what the coach asked you to do. So a good football player is consistent. He knows how to concentrate. He has a high level of courage. He can cooperate though with other people. He can communicate. He's creative. He's competitive, and he's a hard worker. So it's a lot of factors, man, that come into being good for any program. That it don't matter if it's JUCO or Pop Warner or whatever. There's certain things that characteristics that need to be understood before you play the game, and then the details of the game come after that, because it's so much of a character game. You can't fight in football. You can't do certain things in football that you could do in other sports, when you probably should be able to fight though in football. But that's just how it is. So for a kid jumping from another country into a JUCO program, the first thing that you need to understand is that if you're not ready to compete to the best of your ability, it may not be for you. So competition is super important, because Christian, you were willing to step up there versus anyone that stood in front of you. And I think a lot of the times, kids get psyched out by just seeing who's in front of them, man, instead of just remembering, man, the details and doing what the coach asked you to do, though, to begin with, and that's hard to do, so
it's very simple and very hard. Yeah.
It's very simple and very hard, Victor, right? But all of that is based on, how you perceive yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you're confident in your ability, then it makes the game a whole lot easier, and it kind of slows the game down. So studying, sorry to cut you guys off, is the next thing that's super important. If you're going to get to JUCO and you haven't learned how long the field, how wide the field is, when a person stand, like where you're supposed to stand, when you do certain stuff, you're making the game a whole lot harder on your coach, because when you get to college, he's expecting you just to figure out nothing but plays. Like, he's not expecting to tell you where to stand and how to block and what to do and this and that. That's for something you're supposed to know prior to getting there, though. That's the hard part, because I'm like, who was supposed to tell me that?
Yeah, in high school, everybody's telling what to do, right? And then all of a sudden, you're a man, and then nobody's like, if you're not delivering, then next man up.
Next man up, right? And that's kind of how my whole career has been. I just didn't want to get caught by the person behind me trying to take my job.
Got it. Coach, for you, what was the biggest difference going from JUCO level to D1 level?
The commitment. There's 5 a.m. mat drills, meaning you don't wake up at 5 a.m. You're starting the drills at 5 a.m. with the whole team. Like, the commitment to class right after that, taking a shower and going right to class. Right after class, study hall. Right after study hall, you got to go eat with the team. Right after team, we got film. Right after film, I got to go home and study for class. Right after class, if I don't go to bed, I'm probably going to wake up late for mat drills the next day. It's like that structure is crazy for kids, though, sometimes. And sometimes some people can't handle it because they don't have proper structure starting off as, an adolescent, and that's tough. So I feel like the biggest adjustment, because Coach Rass makes us stay there all day too.
Yeah.
But it's even more, Christian. It's even more when you get to the next level.
Yeah, man. And how's the competition like? You were a JUCO commit, so you had 2 years to show your value. How was that?
So the truth is, not everyone is as good as people expect them, right? Because recruiting is done like this. If me, you, and Victor are all in the same area, we all run the same speed. We all do the same everything.
Measurables, yeah.
Everything's the same measurable, right? But, let's say I know one of the coaches, friends or family, you know, I'm probably going to
have the contacts. Yeah.
You know, so a lot of it is political, but in the same sense, the starters, the people that play are really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can make a team and be a part of a team and still play special teams and still do different tasks that are still football, though related, that are super important. But if you want to be the guy, if you want to be special, you have to spend extra hours putting in work that separates you from the 80% while you 20% guys make the team run. So that's who I wanted to be. Like, I've always wanted to be like one of the best. And I've always prided myself on always being a starter on every team because, you know, I didn't feel like watching would be enough. I never felt like special teams would just be enough. I wanted to play everything, you know. So, you know, that's kind of how I've always thought. But that's being the youngest of two older brothers and always, though, trying to be first. So that's kind of how it was.
Got it. So, and then you went from college to the pro. How did you know, or when did you know you were good enough to go to the league?
From the moment I started playing football, man. I've always had the ability. Well, my dad has instilled in me to believe something and see it though before it happens, right? And he calls it manifest destiny. And you know, it's a Paulo Coelho book that, you know, that my dad kind of. Paulo
we know a little something about this guy here in Brazil. Yeah,
he's Brazilian, right?
He's Brazilian, man.
Yeah, man.
So a lot of my mindset has been that, like, I've been, you know, I visualize touchdowns.
You're alchemist, I believe.
Right. I think that my first meeting, you know, to where you got to stand up and say who you are and doing, where you come from, and you know, and I'm being dead serious. I stood up and I said, I'm Maurice Mann. I'm from Seaside, California. And when I score touchdowns, I'm scoring the touchdowns though for the team. Like, I already knew that I was going to be there scoring all the touchdowns.
That's it.
I
speak it into existence.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's kind of
nice. Yeah, man.
Start.
Yeah. So a lot of guys send a lot of questions. A little bit about the league. Like, how is the routine inside of it, and like the best players you played with, some of the lessons that you learned and you took to your life with.
Okay. Oh man, that's a good question. Oh, there's some good questions there. Well, the lessons that I learned are the motto that I live by, right? It's literally get better or get beat. I got cut by the Minnesota Vikings, and on the way home, they give you a piece of paper and it kind of tells you, it's kind of a standardized form that says, we don't think you're good enough to compete for our 53-man roster. And that right there, like, lit a fire underneath me. Yeah. And then that's when I went up to Canada and made All-Star and all the other good stuff that comes with it. But to get back though to the question, some of the best players that I've learned from was I was fortunate to get in the league and be studying behind Chad Johnson, you know, Ocho Cinco.
You got to play with that guy?
Yeah.
Man, he's awesome.
Great dude. Yeah, great energy, great dude, you know, and that's a very important part of football. Like, if you bring bad energy into a locker room, your butt will be gone, like aisle or window fast. If you bring good energy
with you, right? Yeah.
Yes. If you bring good energy and you score touchdowns, you know what I mean? You know, and the team likes you, you got a good chance to be around though for a long time. Right. In the NFL, though, that is, you know what I mean? Because it's not like a 4-year program. This is a lot like people feed their kids off of what we're doing. So therefore, we need you to act accordingly, you know, to what we're trying to get you to do. But I would say the best defensive back, some to name off, were Champ Bailey, Marcus Trufant, who played on the Seahawks. Antoine Winfield was probably the best cornerback I feel like I played against personally. Delta O'Neal was a very good cornerback. Pac-Man was pretty good though when I was starting. There was Sam Madison and Patrick Surtain. So it was a lot of good corners, although none could cover me. You feel me?
I bet. That's right. Why you did what you did. They could not cover you, man.
Yeah. But, they taught me a lot. And it taught me the importance, man, of a good quarterback, too. Because if the ball's not literally right there, you probably ain't going to get it. You know what I mean? So it's a game of inches. It's literally just like the movie, the Al Pacino movie. What was that movie? With Jamie Foxx.
I forgot the name.
But it's a game of inches. That whole.
Yeah.
Any given Sunday.
Yeah.
Any given Sunday, yeah, precisely.
Any given Sunday. So it's literally though what it is. It's like it's literally not just in the trenches, not just though with big men. It's a game of inches though with the receivers, man, and the air flight, fighters too as well. So that's kind of to answer that question, a couple of those people, and I think it was just you got to believe, man, in your ability.
Yeah, nice. And the routine, how was it? Like you're talking about the match drills and D1s. How was the routine in the pros? Like meetings?
So for the pros, right? The pros is special because it's 5-hour days during the season. First, you got to make the 53-man roster. You got to go through 3 to 4 week training camps. Now the kids are getting blessed because they don't even have to wear pads all the time. We had to wear pads 2 practices a day. It was death. Like
2 a day.
So basically. Getting run over by a car every day almost.
And wake up and do it all over. Like,
Jesus,
there's so
I'm getting sport just to hear it.
Yeah. And there's a separating factor because if you don't get in that cold tub after practice, if you don't
you're not getting up the next day.
Yeah. You probably gonna get put on the bus soon because the veterans and the starters are doing all that stuff, and they're staying after practice to throw with the starters. So it's like a never-ending process. But think about it. It's a 5-day. So once you make the team, it's like a 5-hour day. Like, I get in there probably like 7 o'clock. We start off though with meetings. They serve us food. Then we go. Then we have a little like we have our position meetings. Once we go to our position meetings, we go out there on the field. The Seahawks did it the best because the Seahawks, though, would run a 45-minute walkthrough practice before practice. So every rep had to be walked through perfectly before we went back out there on the field and messed it up. Because if we messed it up, that play was not in the playbook that week. Like that. So, so if you don't do that play right, it's over. You know what I mean? And then we were done probably like 1:30, 2 o'clock, and we're home hanging out, being rich people and doing whatever. You know what I mean? So it's a blessing. And then, this is what the kids need to know. If you make it to the NFL, you get a 6-month vacation.
Yeah.
6 months. And my vacation though was all training, right? Because I never wanted to lose my opportunity. I just trained. I didn't travel. That's why I bug Christian every day about coming down there.
Yeah,
you gotta come in. Yeah.
We're gonna. It was all set up for June. We're gonna make it work, and then we'll get this.
And then COVID-19 came. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're gonna make it work for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, and
hey, Coach, I've got a question.
Talk to me.
Well, you have played in basically every level an American person can play at, from Pop Warner to pros, highest level. How was your experience with the level of your coaches? One would assume that at the highest level, you would play for the highest level of coaching, right? Is that the case, or is it not the case? Like, I mean, did your position coaches in the NFL really help you, or did you get to the NFL and just try to be the best player you could be by yourself and your veterans?
Victor, that's a great question. Because the coaches, the head coach has a coaching staff, and it's not that he's picking necessarily the best coaches. He's picking people that he knows that he can trust that won't get fired.
And plus, it's a lot of people that he has to bring in, right? So
that's So although the best coach may be some wiry coach from somewhere far off, why not just use my friend who I could teach him everything that I know that I want to teach to the guys?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm just the people
a guy who's just gonna follow my lead and not ask too many questions about it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly that. So we're not. It wasn't really the best coaching. The best coaching came from the players. TJ Hushmanzada taught me how to run routes. Right?
I did.
Not till I was 21 did I know how to stop. I was always fast. I was always boom, just gone, right? But I never knew how to go the other way.
Yeah,
and I
which is
really learn that
as important as. Yeah.
And he gave me some drills that were like, here, Mo, and this is what I do with Christian. Like, this is what I taught him. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, okay, we got to learn how to break down and control our hips and you know, understand that it's not just how fast you stop, but it's about how fast you stop, get going, and find the ball. So,
absolutely,
I think that's what it was all about. Coaching comes from people, like iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and a fun story is like before I came to Monterey, I never played full padded football. I was playing the sand in Rio, and then I said I got 6 months to get ready for the season. And I was watching a lot of YouTube videos, and I saw like this Maurice Mann video. I had no idea who you were. The little pirate eye video with the cat. Yeah. And then I did that drill all over, like a lot of times. And we were in the field practicing for the first day, and I say, man, that guy looks like the CFL receiver I saw the drill in. And that was Coach Mo. I never told you that.
Yeah, man.
And then a couple of years later, was working with you, and I did the full pirate, so I went full circle.
Good, man. And it's,
nice,
it's funny that kind of happened, because that just kind of came, you know, real randomly. We had a first-round draft pick, man, on the Minnesota Vikings, you know, and he had a tough time catching the ball, but this is how the team works to help everyone else. So they had invested so much money in him, because him being a first-round draft pick, that they had to figure out a way to get him to catch the ball. You know what I mean? And I had the same issue struggling. Come to find out, I had a depth perception issue. So on this side, it's like left side is tougher, which is why baseball though is always harder for me too as well. You know, because seeing the ball coming at me from this to the direction, I lose sight of it at a certain spot. So the depth perception of strengthening one eye though at a time made the ball bigger for me. And once that ball though got bigger, the catch got easier. And I'm like, oh, this is all I got to do is wear an eye patch and catch the ball like over and over and over, and just repetition. Because once I did, like, everything though on the right side is like, but
easy.
Everything on the left side looked different. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that until I'm 23 years old that I should be doing this. So I've been working this drill though with kids now that catch the ball 10,000 times better than I did and I made it though to the left, like up to the league, hardly catching the ball though sometimes, fighting the ball, cradling the ball, doing whatever I could to make sure it didn't fall. And that works too. But I probably could have a few rounds up if I would have made it look a little bit easier, you know, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then talking a little bit about the CFL, just like we had a couple of Brazilian guys. The CFL had a combine in Brazil this year. It was first year ever.
I seen a guy go to British Columbia to the Lions, I think. I seen one guy on the Lions, and then I seen one guy on Edmonton, the Eskimos, which is the team that I went into. But to answer your question, Christian, the CFL is the funnest league in the world. It's the most fun. It's the biggest field. It's the most passing. The fans are super into it. They're crazy. They talk a lot of trash to you.
Canadians talking trash?
Yeah, I know.
Canadian.
And they're
It's their only experience with real sports. And so they get excited. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
No, they got hockey going there.
They're actually good at it too. So, you know, the CFL was a blessing, right? I was nervous though when I first went because I'm like, man, I don't really want to be up here. But then I got up there, man. I met the people. It's a half league, so it's got to be a portion of Americans and a portion of the Canadians though to make the team, right?
Yeah.
You know, because otherwise it'd be all Americans up there.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot less weight. Like, so the meetings went from 5 hours a day to maybe 3 hours a day, though, in the CFL. I mean, we hardly, you know, you show up. Some facilities are nice and some facilities are just kind of like a high school, you know, and it's all dependent on the city that you go to, because sometimes the city owns the team and sometimes the team is owned by a person and the person doesn't have as much as money, you know, all these things that go on, you know, throughout the course of the political part of the year. But the game is the funnest. It's fast, it's up paced. You have way less time though to get ready to play, because I think it's like a 25-second like running play clock, like in between each play, you know, and we're doing so much more running. So you'd end up running, you know, 1,200 yards like in each game. Like you'd run so much, it's like my legs are hurting now thinking about that type of stuff. So,
and how's the training different, because they got the running starts right for the slot receivers, and then they have an extra player on the field. How's the practice different, like for a receiver to get ready for the CFL and the NFL?
My workout completely trains the track and field. Like I just ran track. Like in the off season, everything that I'd be doing is speed, form, and catching the ball, and then lifting weights. But I was crazy, Christian, man. I train like 3 times a day. So I wake up in the morning. I lift weights. Then I go run routes afterwards. Then I'd either play basketball or lift weights again, though, at night. And I did that like all off season. And people though would be like, "Mo, you're crazy." And you know, I'd run those sand dunes over and over.
Oh yeah,
those story, man. If I do that to some athletes, they will just break. Like just literally break. Yeah.
But that's what I was trying to do every single day. Like I wanted to see, man, if like, and now I wanted to see, man, if I would break, like, you know, and the only thing that just kind of broke me was, you know, due to the fact that I wouldn't take care of my body as well as I trained. As hard as I trained, I didn't do the extra stuff like with the food and that's the stuff, and that's the energy that I give into the kids. It's like, okay, like you see how we're training, but if you don't,
training is one part of it. Yeah.
Yes, if you don't finish it up, because you know, I'm 21. I was living in Miami, guys, so you know what was going on, and I wasn't playing that much though at you know at the time too. So I mean, I'm partying just as hard as I was playing.
Yeah.
So, you know, but I grew up, man. I had to learn, man, over the years that, you know, eventually, man, you had to settle down in that kind of, you know, understanding of balance. Like you can't do too much and think that you're going to be able to just go out there and, you know, go for 300 yards on somebody. So I got older, I got smarter, really.
Yeah, it's just how it is. Now you're a dad, right? Congratulations on that too.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So okay, Coach, talked about your career, and now let's just talk a little bit, like for 15-20 minutes, about training receivers, right? I know you coach some DBs, but I see the difference in the passion when you're talking about wideouts. So
yeah, definitely.
So instead of guiding you through questions, it's just like give us a guideline, like how is your thought process to form a receiver, to develop receivers?
Stance, release, route running. Let me start over. but I have to go in that order, but it's not in order of importance, right? So stance and start, right? How well you get off the ball and attack the DB is an everyday practice, right? The second thing is releases. Even though we don't face press as much as possible, the moment they do press you, you should make them look like a complete fool for standing in front of you. That was my thought process. Route running is my favorite thing and my number one thing in terms of teaching kids.
It's mine too. Yeah, great.
Route running, right? Catching the ball is super important, and probably ultimately it could go first or second, because even if you run an ugly, ridiculous route, if you go be Odell Beckham, I don't care how that route looked. You're right. So if you go snatch that ball, man, out of the air like that, then I don't care. And the last thing is blocking. If you don't block, man, on my team, you will not play. Facts. Like, if you don't care about blocking, and we took so much pride in every team that I coach, takes so much pride in blocking that we become better blockers than linemen on our team, because that's the separating factor between those good teams making them great. Yeah. And that's when a running back goes for like 1,600 yards, though. You're like, man, how did this dude go for so many yards rushing? It wasn't just the line of scrimmage. It was the receivers putting in work, though, down the field that separates the real big yardage. So
there is this saying, this nice saying that running routes shows how much you care about your game, and blocking show how much you care about your teammates.
I'm still in that.
That's a good phrase. I'm still in that too. Yeah. That's a good things my receivers already got that. So I'm just gonna say that phrase for it's only because I like it. Yeah.
Keep going for the big five, Coach, and then
so I mean, whether you're a starter, man, or a backup, though, you got to believe, man, in your ability to prepare and succeed. All right. So you always have to be preparing like you're going to start in every game. And the moment you stop doing that is the moment you're going to be in trouble. So like a random story is like after I retired, after my first official championship, because in the Seahawks, we had a tight end, man, that kept dropping the damn ball and made us lose the Super Bowl, but I ain't going to bring no names up. But
it's not like we don't know him, right?
Yeah. You can go back and watch it and see who it was. But anyways, when I won my very first championship in 2012, I retired, right? Because there was so much adversity leading up to winning that, so before that season, I had literally ripped like 40 stitches, man, in my knee. And people were telling me, okay, Mo, you probably won't play this year because that's too much going on. And I came back to play. I came back to start. I led the team in catches, man, in the playoffs. And I helped us win a championship, right? Which is crazy. A big old CFL ring like this tall, like on my finger, which is fun. But I retired so I can start doing coaching. So I started coaching Canadian kids in football, and that completely opened my perspective on how teaching needed to be done, because I first thought that I could take what I did as a pro and put it right into what kids do.
Yeah, and it just doesn't work. Yeah, precisely.
It was ugly. It was I had
it doesn't get to the page 2. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I had so much talent, but because I was trying to overcomplicate everything, we didn't beat the teams that we were expected to beat. But we made the playoffs, and we did better though than last year's team. But it didn't live up to my expectations. So the real part of this story is that when I went back to play, after taking a full season off, I went back to play, and I text because the Toronto guys though had a couple guys hurt. So I text the GM and I told him, hey, I'm in shape, and if you need any help, man, I'm right up the street, because I had been playing touch football. Like, touch football, though, in Canada is super big. It's like –
for real?
Yeah.
Canadians,
Yeah. Touch football is men and women's, and I'm talking about there's hundreds of teams playing in tournaments. It's crazy. But
it's like
that
flag football in São Paulo. It's also huge here. Yeah.
That helped my route running get stupid. Like that helped because it was just all route running. It was all timing and patience and being smooth, and creating at the top of the route, and and hesitation and all. And then when I came back, I did the play that next season. It was so training camp passed, 4 games had passed, and then 4 receivers though got hurt. They called me in. The practice I got to, 2 more receivers got hurt. So by the end of that week, I was starting in a game after taking a full year off. Like a full calendar year off.
Man, you jinxed everyone, man.
It was Thursday. By the next Saturday, I was starting in a game in front of 60,000 people in Saskatchewan, the hardest place to play. I went in that game.
I'm never gonna sit in front of you, man. I might get hurt. Jesus,
man.
I'm.
I mean, the crazy part is, man, though, in that game, man, I had like 9 catches for 130, man, and a touchdown. So it was just like riding a bike. You know what I mean? After I got to coaching and then went back to playing, I'm like, I thought about it differently. Like the game looked different, and it was so easy. Like I didn't have to run as hard. Like I just knew what to do, when to do it, and then that was the fun part. But and understanding that and doing that, I was like, oh man, I'm supposed to coach. Like when I felt that energy, I'm like, okay, this is my calling for coaching, because now I can tell people exactly.
But it's hard to stop playing, man. It is
super
hard.
But your body will tell you, man. So I pulled 3 of my hamstrings off. Well, 2 of my hamstrings off the 3 that are in your leg, and that was it for me. Once I felt that, I'm like, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm out. Yeah.
So yeah, long story short, man, it was just, it's all about adversity, really. Conquering those, those hard moments though in your life, and really just, pushing forward, man. It's kind of like Kobe when he tore his Achilles and then shot those 2 free throws. I would have did the same thing. I'm not going off the court, man, until I finished my job. And that's how I felt about football. Like I couldn't get off the field unless it was on my terms. But the one I caught the touchdown on, and I tore my 2 hamstrings. Like I caught that ball and it was a touchdown. So my last play though going out was a big one. And that was that.
You caught it. Yeah, nice. Coach, I've got a question. When it comes to coaching receivers, well, pretend you just got this kid and now you have to teach him how to be a receiver. Well, how is the overall setup of the indie drills that you're going to be doing with them? And why am I asking this? It's because I see a lot of coaches that just get the players to step around this cone and that cone, and before you know it, these guys are running routes against air on no one. And now I personally am not a fan of it. I prefer to always have like a human stimulus.
Yeah.
However limited it may be, because to my experience, it feels like it transfers better to actually playing football and to actually understanding how a defensive player is supposed to react on you. How do you feel about that? How do you teach players?
So my brother, when I was young, he taught me the art of step counting. Step counting was created, I'm not really too sure, but it was Fresno State. It was Jeff Tedford. And so what step counting means is that I no longer have to look at the lines on the field to tell me how far of a distance, man, I have to travel. You know what I mean? So once we work that relationship is built with the quarterback. So we will do some kind of routes on air, but everyone has to follow the proper procedure to get to a certain spot. Otherwise, if you don't, you're going to suffer. You know what I mean? If you're the best player, but you can't take 4 steps, man, on your outside leg, though, to get to a curl, you're running that route at 10 yards, and I'm yelling at you for being at 10 yards and not at 14, So what I'm teaching is a whole lot of fundamental understandings of how to get depth properly. And then I teach it in that kind of order: stance, releases, route running, catching the football, and blocking. So I'll use cones, but I won't do like zigzag drills or something like that. I'm trying to work.
It will be running a route, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to work in-game scenarios. You know what I mean?
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
It's third and 12, and you got to run a curl. Like, let's not overcomplicate it. How many steps is it going to take you to get it to this distance? What if he plays cover 2? What if he plays cover 3? What if he's pressed up? How you going to win? And then we break that down. We go back and watch film on how to break that down. Then we put that person though in front of us, that defense in front of us, because it's more than that one person too, right?
Yeah. One person is just the beginning of it. Yeah.
So whenever I do one-on-ones, I tell the DB all the routes, and I never give more than 3 routes, because I feel like that. If I got the whole playbook and you don't know what I'm doing, but then there's no line of scrimmage, there's no one blocking, there's no pressure. He just stand back there and throw the ball.
And in the game, it's not going to be like that.
Yeah, like in any defensive scheme, I know, and that's why I was good at the defensive coaching, is because I was able to break down the offensive playbook so good that they knew everything that was coming at him. Like, you didn't, like, I'm telling you, if he lines up here, it's this. If he lines up here, it's this. If they do this, it's this. And then that's how we were those successful. Like, we were a top ranked, like, number 5 defense, man, in the whole of all of California based on details.
Yeah. That DB was crazy. They overperformed their talent.
Yeah, so
I remember that.
So it was much of that, and it was just based off of like the fundamentals of knowing, okay, when the split is here and when the split is here. I taught a lot of squatting, because I'm like, okay, every the receiver's route is somewhere around 10 to 12 yards, man, if it's a 5-step drop. So you backpedal about 5 steps, and once you get to that 5 steps, if he keeps going, run into him or cut him off. If he doesn't jump, though, whatever, though, you see the in front of you. And I didn't learn that though until I played pro ball, right? So a lot of the stuff is just kind of compiled into the middle. But I got some good drills, man. Though I can send you though this whole pamphlet, man, on the breakdown, man, of how I do it. Though I can, right? But
I would love to, please. Oh,
yeah,
Jesus.
not for sure.
I'm drooling already, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Coach, that white kid, the receiver that you're working with from Salinas, the Argonauts. Yeah. So you took him young, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. He's crazy good route runner. And he's athletic, but his route running is near perfect. I remember I trained with him, and his work ethic is crazy. So tell me a little bit about how was working with a kid that's hungry but not as talented physically, and how was that process of developing him into a top-notch player?
I feel like those kids are the best kids because they're so middle of the road. They don't lean on one thing too much. I'm not too fat. Like, I'm not too much of a speed guy, and I'm not too much of a strength guy. He's just right down the center. And then, he's very absorbing of his own time. Like, the other day he told me that he watched a video of Michael Thomas, who's a receiver though from the Saints, doing hand yoga, and now he does hand yoga. So he's like a sponge. Everything that I'm teaching him, he really he really works on, not just with me. The day that I posted a video of him, they came to the field after they realized I was there just to get the extra work. You know what I mean? I had planned to train a different kid, and they were like, okay, I'm gonna meet him there, and then I'm gonna make sure I put in work too. So people like that, it's kind of hard not to be proud of too, but it's easily to see that dude is going to be at the next level because of the fact that he's able to focus through times like this. Like when people are telling us to stay inside, that we should, he's still getting his 1 hour outside for sure, and that's just kind of a sanity thing too as well. Like even people in jail get an hour out. So,
absolutely.
That's just kind of how it is. Like you got to be a little possessed by the opportunity and the understanding of getting better. Like you got to be you got to just grip it as tight as you can though sometimes. And, it'll come to you, man. God will bring some great things to you, man, though, if you can accept, some pain and some sacrifice.
Absolutely.
Nice. Yeah. All right. So just before we're nearing the end, just two questions we got here. One is how do you teach receivers to read, adjust to different defenses, coverages, and looks?
Okay, so every defense and coverage is dictated first off on the concept though from the offense, right? So every defense aligns to a number of receivers. You know what I mean? So if I line up in a 3 receiver set, then as a defensive scheme, I need to know that there's certain patterns or concepts that could affect what I run in coverage. So if I am a receiver and I want to learn about the defense, I literally went and sat in the defensive meeting room. So when we broke early or if we separated and I walked past, a lot of people would walk past the defensive meeting room. I'd sneak in and sit in the back and be looking like, okay, so when you do that, that means that. Okay, so when you do that, that means that. Like, it's really just looking at the game from a different perspective. And, and that's really all you got to do is you got to go play some DB, right? Even I make my quarterbacks go play safety because if they can't see the game from that angle, then how are they ever going to know what it feels like, though, to be in that spot? You know what I mean? So for a kid that wants to learn that, how to read coverage, the first thing is to know what the coverages are, first off, who you're facing and what their assignments are based on when they have to do a certain job. And you got to know where the holes are, because that's super important. But I would say it's a lot of that is knowing your defense, though, so you can get a better understanding of how to attack it, which is the art of war.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
You have to sum it up. Yep.
And just to close it, just your favorite raw running drill, like to get better at the breaks, at the break point. What is the drill that you like the most?
Okay, so in college, it's what they teach is how a receiver needs to break off of the inside foot. So my favorite drill to teach is when I'm teaching a receiver like to get around the cone. Can you guys see me?
Yeah. Go on. We got you. It's looking good, actually.
So if this is the drill, a lot of us will think to reach with the outside foot and then bring my inside foot and take that extra step to get back around. So what we've been teaching and what Jeff is getting good at or got really good at is the ability to not use the outside foot as an indicator, right? But just to get up, though, to the pressure of it and change direction with using the inside leg. So what I'm saying is I'll teach them, and a lot of the older ones, they'll get mad at me because I'll make them say it. I'll make them chop their feet, though, towards the cone. Sorry, guys. And I'll make them chop their feet towards the cone and say right, left. And then the next cone, left, right. And it's that simple. But the fundamental, once you get fast at doing that, and you can keep your mediate to moderate 85% of your speed and do that with getting in and out of your break, it makes the whole lot of routes easier because this game is all about change of direction, So once you get really good, at changing the direction, it's kind of hard not to be good, a la Tyreek Hill. You know what I mean? So
the thing is, so instead of breaking heavy with the outside foot indicating to the DB, you're breaking hard with the inside.
Yes.
Yeah.
Inside, outside, and then change directions.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Inside,
now,
outside,
now when the depth is further, of course, you have to still do the outside count man of your leg. But once you get to that last step, you still got the right left action though that's happening. And that's kind of something like a shuttle drill too, as well. Like you do have to practice just changing the directions, and that's really important. But you can't just do it like without any coaching to it, right? You can work a drill over and over and over, but if you're not critiquing how that process is done better, it's gonna just be like a placebo drill. It's just gonna be full of like water and smoke and air. So someone has to teach it right for it to be like applied properly, and that's what I see.
Nice.
Right. Yeah.
Coach, I got a question.
Yeah, sure.
I got a good question. You see, most of the defenses that we see today, at least here in Brazil, are defenses that will play you like this. They will either give you off coverage a lot of the times, probably on bail technique, and then they will change it up with soft press. Or you're facing a defense that will soft press you a lot and change it up with the bail technique coming out of the soft press look, right? And we see, at least in Brazil, from my experience, a lot of receivers, and on Instagram too, you see a bunch of guys practicing release drills, and it's always against the soft press. And so receivers, they always have a great plan for playing against the soft press. But sometimes I see a lot of receivers is struggling to manipulate corners that are playing on bail technique. Give us some heads up on how to manipulate a cornerback that's playing bail, whether it be to just get on his toes or try to attack his blind side, or
that's it.
Whatever the
right there. You already said it. You taking the words, man, the dough out of my mouth. But listen, it's all about leverage. It's like basketball. Like if I end up, man, in a blind spot, and I get you to look in a different position, now I've opened up, man, the area that I want. So if you can't see my hand, then he has a better leverage. The moment you can see my hand, now he's got to re-situate himself though to kind of block out what he wants to protect. So that whole thing, that whole leverage game with moving a DB through your stem is really how I teach my kids though how to win on bail. You know what I mean? So when they try to open and turn and run, I tell the receiver, if it's an in-breaking route, though, to still stay in that blind spot until your steps
precisely
out of it.
Yeah. So you still gotta stay a little bit outside just to be on the blind spot, and then you cut and cross the trace. Yeah.
Exactly, because they're supposed to keep leverage by staying in a position that that their coach told them to. Make sure you maintain. Make sure you maintain some. And that's kind of really though how it is. Bail is a great coverage though, but when I get down there and if I get to draw some plays up, man, I guarantee I'm gonna tear that stuff apart, man.
Hey, we gotta connect more, man. Yeah,
because I'm gonna leave it at this. But my favorite thing is Ken Austin from Canada. He taught me this, and it's called cancel 2. So if you show me let's say there's 3 guys vertical, right? And my 3 guys, I'm sending 2 guys towards 2 guys. And then so technically if there's 3 up top, right? And I have let's say there's a 3-man set, never forget your running back, because running backs are covered by not run. All right.
Yep.
So the moment,
but sometimes they don't catch either. But
but now in the States, we've made it so the fact of the matter is, if you can't catch the ball, you are no longer running back. You go play linebacker.
In Brazil, we are catching up to that. It's been a grind. Yeah.
It's time. It's time. I'm telling you, because once you get that 5th receiver out there for cover 3, there's only 3 people deep though, but I got 5 people out, you're going to lose. Right?
Yep.
There's only 3 people deep, but there's only 1 dude on this side of the field. You're gonna lose, because I'm gonna flood that area, man, with 2 guys canceling out 1 person, and the 3rd dude, man, is gonna be where that 1 person was supposed to be, and then that's
a wrap.
All right, that's dope. All right, Coach. So first of all, thank you for your time, man. We're for sure gonna set up that trip. I'm really excited for that.
Hey, we were just getting started, man.
Yeah, no, this is fun, man. Though I can do this all day, man.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
I feel like talking ball, man. But just to close up, Coach, we're doing this as a faith-based ministry. We're serving up the community, but also talking a little bit about God. And I know you're a Christian too. We did Bible study together back in my day. So
yes, sir.
Just talk a little bit, 5 minutes, how Christ helped you through this journey and how he helped you become a better man.
Okay, so definitely. Well, God has served a very important focus, man, though, throughout my life. And he's taught me how to believe in something greater, though, than myself, and that power, with that power, though, you can do anything, man. I feel like, I know some of the catches that I've made and some of the stuff I've done on the field could have been through no other person or entity or being than him, and not only on the field, it's made some of my closest friends, so some of my closest partners, right, have the same respect. And respect is built, though, through, common ground, right? So, I feel like, my faith has, essentially improved, though, not only though my lifestyle, but just, the people that I have in the lifestyle, though, around me. And I it's so much more of a community thing than it is a religious thing, though. To me, it seems like it's more built upon finding good people and good energy and a good purpose through God, and the people that God brings to you are the people that serve that niche with you. You know what I mean? And that niche is just the process of meeting people and building family that's not your family, which is what football is. Family that's not family, but that's family. So that's what the same thing the church has done, though, for me. Like, I'm just grateful to know that Christ died on the cross, though, for me and all of us too as well. So that blessing has always been in the forefront of my brain of why it's so important, though, for me to do my best and work my hardest, because I want God to be proud, even though I know he is. I want him personally to be proud of me, myself. So that's my own selfish desire for making other people better too. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to coach you as hard as I can possibly coach you because God woke me up and gave me the ability to do this for you. So you're not going to get a lackluster effort from my energy, so that's that.
Nice,
man. Yeah, appreciate that, Coach. Yeah, amen.
We appreciate it, man.
Yeah, that was pretty good, man. Honestly, thank you for taking your time. I know you're really busy. You probably spend your whole day training athletes, even in the lockdown. I know the grind never stops. And honestly, I just want to say, I just want to honestly, like, thank you for all that you're doing for the community, man. I know that you and Coach T are father and mother figure for a lot of those kids, and there's nothing like more godly than teaching us how to feel successful by giving other people success, and that's something I'm learning as a coach. It's hard as a player. We're like really self-driven, but honestly, I see God working for you with all the serving the community, serving the kids, and that's just great work, man. I can't wait to get some money, go up there and try to help you a little bit just to be around, and I can't wait to get you down here so you can help us too.
Let me know.
Right?
I'm coming.
But anyway, football is just a platform, and I'm thankful that we got to meet through that, man. Thank you for
man. I'm grateful too, Christian, man. Though you're a real one, brother, man. Victor, man. Hey, we gonna link up, man. When I come down here, bro.
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
And where you at, man? You guys in the different places, right? Of course. Like,
yeah, you're in São Paulo, and Christian is in Curitiba. But I was also set up to meet you guys from FCA in Curitiba.
I'm taking him to Rio de Janeiro. We're gonna have a good time.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get together in Rio, man. It's gonna happen, bro.
Let's do that.
Absolutely.
All right, Coach.
Appreciate you guys, man.
Yeah,
Chris,
man, God bless.
anywhere that's streaming and where I can watch this and how I can share it with somebody else or whatever later on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
I'll see you, man.
All right, man.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Valeu, galera.
Alô?
Obrigado aí por todo mundo que veio. Foi um prazer, cara, muito grande estar aí com o Coach Mann. Saudade dele, o cara é uma figura, mas sabe muito de futebol americano, ama muito esporte. Enfim, cara, obrigado, Vitor, por estar aí comigo, estar ajudando nas perguntas.
Obrigado você, mano. Adorei isso aqui, velho. Me diverti mais que todo mundo, eu acho.
A gente vai continuar. Para quem não se inscreveu ainda, se inscreve aí no canal. Quem quiser saber das notícias das lives da FCA, FCA.Brasil. A gente vai estar fazendo durante essa quarentena aí, tá cheio de treinador muito bom lá nos Estados Unidos, que a gente tem contato através da FCA, que tá livre para estar ajudando. A gente também vai fazer umas paradas com os treinadores brasileiros. Mas estamos aqui para servir a comunidade, estamos aqui para a gente se ajudar. Tiver pergunta, tiver sugestão, só manda para a gente, fala aí. E Deus abençoe todo mundo. Obrigado por estarem aqui. Valeu, Vitor.
Obrigado, galera. Até a próxima, hein, ó.
Tamo junto.
Um beijo, a gente se vê por aí. Obrigado, hein, mano. Tamo junto. Valeu, Christian. Obrigado, é nóis, mano.